Before your first cruise, there are things nobody explains until it's too late. From boarding and cabins to drinks, ports, surprise charges. First-time cruisers make the same mistakes over and over. So today I'm breaking down the most important things people wish they knew before their first cruise, so your trip starts relaxed and not stressed. When you check in, you'll receive a cruise card, and this card does way more than just open your cabin door. It's your onboard ID, it's your room key, your payment method, and what you use to get on and off the ship in ports. Keep the card safe, and if you lose it, go to guest services for a replacement. And also, a lot of people will use lanyards around their neck to keep track of it. Once you're on the ship, you'll barely use cash. Everything, drinks, specialty dining, souvenirs, goes on your cruise card. The only time we really use cash is in port or in the casino or giving extra tips to the crew. Embarkation day is not a full vacation day, not quite yet. It's a little stressful. You're excited, you're ready to relax, and suddenly you're dealing with security lines, crowds, and a little bit of waiting. Cruise lines will assign you a boarding time for a reason. Showing up super early doesn't mean you'll get on the ship faster. Sometimes it just means you're waiting longer. So arrive close to your assigned time and things will usually go much smoother. And one quick tip for embarkation day, screenshot your boarding passes before you arrive at the port. Port Wi-Fi can be slow or overloaded, and you don't want to be standing there refreshing your app in line. It's also a good idea to always screenshot your passports and other important documents just in case. Your cabin typically won't be ready until early afternoon. Housekeeping is turning over hundreds of rooms. We usually bring a carry-on with our swimsuits, medications, chargers, and anything we'll need the first few hours we're on the ship, because sometimes getting your bags can take 3 to 4 hours. And always keep medications in your carry-on, never your checked luggage. If you have prescriptions, keep them in original bottles, especially if you're flying internationally. Before the ship leaves port, you'll have to do what they call a muster drill. It's a safety briefing, and yes, it's mandatory. This is where they show you where to go in case of an emergency, explain how to use the life jacket. The good news is it's much quicker and more organized than it used to be. On most ships now, you'll check in at your assigned station, watch a short safety video in the app or on your cruise cabin TV. You can't skip it, and the ship won't sail until everybody has completed it. So just get it done early and enjoy the rest of your cruise. Also, before you even leave home, download your cruise line's app. Almost everything runs through it now. Your boarding documents, daily schedules, dining reservations, messaging family on board, deck maps. It makes embarkation day a lot smoother. And this next one is where people accidentally miss some of the best experiences on board. Every day, check the daily planner in the app. There are tastings, trivia games, giveaways, behind the scenes tours, things you'd never know about unless you look at the app or the daily schedule. Some of the best moments on board aren't heavily advertised. Balconies are nice, and we typically prefer them, but don't be afraid to take a cheaper cabin like an interior cabin if you're budget conscious. If you do book an interior cabin, I really like using the alarm clock I've linked below. It's great and a must-have in my opinion. It gives you some natural light in an otherwise pretty dark cabin. Some cruises allow you to sail with a birth certificate, but a passport makes everything a little easier. It speeds up the re-entry into the US, it helps with emergencies, and just simplifies the process overall. A passport with face recognition makes getting off the ship with thousands of passengers a lot easier. A lot of first-time cruisers worry about seasickness, and honestly, it's not as common as people think. Modern cruise ships are massive and very stable, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be prepared. Even people who don't normally get motion sickness can feel it during rough seas, so we always recommend bringing something just in case, whether it's motion bands, Dramamine, Bonine, or whatever works for you. Erika and our kids usually get a little seasick, so we'll start giving them medication 24 to 48 hours before we board the ship, and we've never had an issue. If you happen to get seasick on the ship, start the medication and eat a few green apples. They always have them available and they can really help. Also, if you're booking a cabin and you're concerned about movement, the middle of the ship and the lower decks are typically the areas where you feel the least amount of movement. If you're cruising with kids, the kids clubs are one of the best features on board. They're supervised, organized by age group, and included in your cruise fare. Most cruise lines have limited capacity for registration on the first day, so if you plan to use it, sign up early. For a lot of families, the Kids Club gives parents a little downtime and kids a space to make new friends. Also, we typically take advantage of the paid night program, which charges a small fee per hour, or sometimes it's just a flat rate like $20. And they'll watch your kids. Check with the cruise line, but Royal and Carnival have some great options. Carnival has watched all of our kids at some point from 6 months and above, but read the rules. We love it, and it's a great way to give us a few hours of time to ourselves in the evenings. The rule we usually set with the kids is during the day, they're with us, we do dinner together, but then after dinner, they go to the kids club for usually a few hours each night. And if you're headed to the Caribbean or Mexico, US dollars are widely accepted. We've always used them for taxis, souvenirs, and snacks with no issues, but just bring smaller bills. Larger purchases, I usually always recommend using your credit card. That usually is your best option and gives you the best exchange rate. Also, bring a small backpack or day bag for port days, sunscreen, water, a copy of your passport, cash, medications. Having one grab and go bag makes getting off the ship much easier. And if you're flying to the cruise port, I strongly recommend arriving the day before. For European cruises, if you're flying across the pond, go 3-4 days or more before. It's something I've talked about. Take advantage of visiting a couple cities before your cruise and give yourself that extra cushion. Flight delays, cancellation, weather, all of that is completely out of your control. And if your flight is delayed the morning of your cruise, the ship was not going to wait. Arriving the day before gives you a little bit of extra time, gives you some buffer time. Travel insurance is one of those things you hope you never need, but when you need it, you're really happy that you have it. So if you're flying in, cruising during hurricane season, or booking expensive excursions, insurance can protect you from cancellations, delays, medical emergencies, or missing the ship. Everyone has a different risk tolerance, but at least look into it before you sail. We typically only do travel insurance when cruising around hurricane season, which is usually August or September, but when we've had it, it's been a lifesaver. And just so you know, the medical center on board can be expensive. Even something simple can cost a few $100s. That's another reason insurance is worth looking into. Now let's talk about where people accidentally overspend. Many cruise lines allow you to bring a limited amount of soda, water, or wine when you board. We usually bring a bottle of wine or two on each cruise. Sometimes we bring a little more, if you know what I mean, but check the policy for your cruise line because it varies from ship to ship or from cruise line to cruise line. Onboard drinks add up quickly. That $14 cocktail doesn't seem bad until you're having a few of them each day. Drink packages sound great, but you need to do the math. On many cruise lines, you have to drink 7, 8, 9 drinks every single day just to break even, including your port days. So for a lot of people, paying per drink ends up being much cheaper and more relaxed. Our general rule depends on how many port or sea days we have. Lately, we've been going without the drink package because we find ourselves feeling like we need to get our money's worth, and we usually drink a little less on the ship and make up for it in port. So depending on the activities you're doing, you have to decide what makes the most sense for you. Just do the math. I've also linked many of the drink menus below from various cruise lines so you can look at the prices and determine what makes the most sense for you. Gratuities are usually included or automatically added to your account. That's why there's no bill when you to sign when you go to the main dining room. Bar receipts often include gratuity too. Extra tipping is optional unless the service truly goes above and beyond. Just check your receipt before signing so you don't double tip by mistake. And I personally like to bring $2 bills with me, and I'll give those in addition to our favorite bar staff. Also be sure to put your phone on airplane mode before the ship leaves port. Cruise ships have their own cellular networks and roaming charges can be massive. Airplane mode plus Wi-Fi every time you're on the ship. Also in port, you'll find a lot of the bars right there along the port or the pier will have restaurants and they'll provide you Wi-Fi. And then if you don't, it just depends if you have data roaming or not and what your package and your network is. But be sure to check that out in advance. The cruise Wi-Fi is satellite based, so it's slower and more expensive than what you'll usually find at home. In recent years, I've noticed it improving a bit on some of the ships, but if you're thinking about working remotely or if you need to do a Zoom call, that meeting or doing a streaming event, a video event is going to be a little difficult and might have some buffering issues. Also, cabins don't have many outlets. Bring a simple outlet adapter. Make sure it's not a surge protector because those aren't allowed on the ship. I've linked one of our favorites below, and they will confiscate them during security screening, so stick to basic cruise approved adapters. And there's no baggage fees like airlines have, but that doesn't mean you should overpack. Packing smart makes embarkation and disembarkation much easier and smoother. And remember to store your suitcases under your beds. Also, don't forget that most sofas in a cruise ship cabin have storage below the cushions that a lot of people often overlook. And most cruise ships don't have self-serve laundry. Laundry service is available, but it's usually expensive. So if you're cruising longer than 7 days, pack accordingly. The main dining room isn't just for dinner, it's open for breakfast and lunch too, and it's often calmer and better quality than the buffet. Also on sea days, usually they'll have a nice brunch option, so be sure to check that out. And usually most cruise lines offer a free continental breakfast to your room if you want to order that the day before, usually through the app. And just check your cruise line's policy because some now charge a small delivery fee for room service. And you will find that often on port days, some of the bars might have a small continental breakfast option available. Ask or check the app for different options. This can be a nice option to avoid the larger crowds at the main buffet and get you off the ship earlier when you arrive in port. And if you can't decide between 2 dishes in the main dining room, order both. Usually it's included, or they'll make one of the main dishes an appetizer. If you see an appetizer or 2 that you really like, don't be afraid to get both of them. Quick reminder, if this is your first cruise, drop your questions in the comments below. We read and reply to many of them. And if you want to make packing easier, we've linked the most important first cruise essentials we recommend in the pinned comment of the video. Most of the food is included in your cruise fare, the buffet, the main dining room, many of the casual spots around the ship, but specialty dining is different. They usually charge an extra fee and reservations can fill up quickly. So you absolutely do not need to buy specialty dining to enjoy your cruise. It's optional. Some people love doing the specialty dining, but don't feel pressured. We always do a couple nights of dining at one of the specialty dining restaurants. We love the steakhouse on most cruise lines. And then usually we'll do the teppanyaki or the chef's table, whatever that type of experience is. But check out all the options, and if you decide one interests you, you'll probably really enjoy it. Also, many cruises have at least one formal or elegant night. It's optional, but if you want to participate, bring something slightly dressier, and some specialty restaurants require long pants for men, so check before you pack. On board, you'll hear words like port, starboard, aft, and forward. It sounds confusing at first, but within a day or two, it makes sense. Just remember, the port side is the left side of the ship. Both have 4-letter words in their name, and then the starboard is the right side of the ship, and then forward, obviously pretty simple, is the front, and then the aft is the back. Keep in mind that cruise itineraries can change. Weather, mechanical issues, or safety concerns sometimes cause ports to be swapped or skipped altogether. It's very rare, but be flexible and try to make the best of it. Cruise line transportation from the airport is convenient, but often expensive. We've saved money using ride shares instead. Compare options. Usually we'll just do an Uber or a Lyft. It just depends on the size of our group. And balconies aren't fully private. The dividers usually don't go floor to ceiling, just something to keep in mind, especially if you decide to have a romantic moment out on the balcony. And don't leave the balcony door open. The air conditioning shuts off automatically. The strong wind can slam the door. It sounds minor, but it makes a big difference. And if your cabin feels warmer than you'd like, sometimes the thermostat doesn't respond the way you expect. Your cabin steward can usually adjust it or help you with it. Just ask. Elevators get busy, especially after dinner and shows. If you're only going a few decks and you can do it, take the stairs. It's usually faster. I find that the forward elevators are often the least crowded on most ships. And let people exit the elevator before stepping in. It keeps everything moving a little smoother. Pool decks can be very slippery. Cheap flip-flops wear down quickly, so bring good sandals with good grip to avoid slips and walk with caution around the pool area. And on sea days, pool chairs fill up early. If you want a prime spot, head up earlier in the morning. Cruise lines are cracking down on chair saving, but it still happens. Now this next section is where first-time cruisers make their biggest mistakes. Cruise ship casinos are fun, but the odds usually aren't great. Blackjack payouts are lower, and table limits can be a little restrictive. For example, blackjack on a cruise ship might pay 6 to 5 instead of typically paying 3 to 2. So just play for the entertainment, not to win big. Even on Caribbean cruises, it can get a little chilly at night. Between the wind on deck, the strong air conditioning indoors, a light jacket really comes in handy. And then short cruises tend to be a little livelier, a little more energetic. Longer cruises are usually a little calmer, a little more relaxed. Neither is better. It just depends on the experience that you're looking for. Longer cruises tend to attract more retired people, especially when you go more than 8 days. It's something to keep in mind when you're booking and making a reservation. Short excursions can feel expensive, and sometimes they are, but they also give you experiences you might never get again. As I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of doing excursions outside of the cruise line, but don't stress out about it. If you feel more comfortable doing it through the cruise line, the memories are going to be worth that extra money. You'll forget what you spent, but you won't forget what you did. And what happens if you miss the ship at port? You're probably seen videos of people running down the pier trying to catch the ship. If you're late and you booked an excursion on your own, the ship can leave without you. But if you book through the cruise line, they'll usually wait or help coordinate and figure something out. As we love to explore on our own, don't lose track of time. You're responsible for getting back to the ship yourself or getting yourself to the next port, and that can be expensive. So get back early and don't push it. Internet, drink packages, and excursions are often cheaper when booked ahead of time. Also, you can use cruise cash and spread the payments out if that helps. A lot of cruise lines will offer the option to buy cruise cash, and that you can use towards your cruise once you're on the ship, but buy a little bit every month so it's easier and a little easier on your wallet. The all aboard time is not a suggestion. If the ship says 4:30, that means 4:30. We've seen people running down the pier and not everyone makes it. Don't be one of them. Always plan to be back early and make sure you stay on ship time. Keep a regular watch with ship time or set a second clock on your phone's home screen with the ship time. And on some cruises, the ship changes time zones during the sailing. Your phone might update automatically or it might not. Always double check the daily planner so you don't miss anything. And alcohol you buy in port won't be available during the cruise. The ship holds it and delivers it back to your cabin the night before you disembark. One thing to keep in mind, if you're doing a back-to-back cruise, I have purchased bottles that first week of the back-to-back cruise that were delivered to my cabin on the last night of that first week of the cruise. So it gave me the second week to enjoy them. The last morning of your cruise comes fast, and it's not a slow, relaxing morning. You'll usually need to pack your bags the night before and place them outside your cabin if you're using luggage services. Disembarkation often starts early in the morning, sometimes before 8 a.m., depending on your group number. So plan your transportation ahead of time, and don't book your flights too early in case there's delays. Fog, for example, can delay a ship returning to port, and disembarkation is organized, but it can be a little hectic and moves rather quickly. And one small thing about the last morning, coffee lines can get long. If you're rushing to leave early, plan ahead the night before so you're not standing in line when you should be heading off the ship. And finally, your first cruise probably won't be your last. Almost everyone finishes their first cruise already thinking about the next one. If this video helped you, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe for more cruise tips every week, and then turn on your notifications. And if you're about to sail or have a question, post it below. Thank you again for watching, and happy cruising.